Welcome back. All right, so yesterday I did a video on the career of Don Edwards, a goaltender who I said at one point in the video had some really fun masks. And then as I'm getting ready to upload it, I'm like, right, Edwards had the cage. Now, the cage can be kind of fun to look at, but it's not the fun masks of Dan Bouchard. I got the two mixed up. Happens. Especially as you get older, it just turns into kind of this big blob of names and faces and jerseys. And anyways, Dan Bouchard was a number 27 pick by the Boston Bruins in 1970. The problem for Dan Bouchard is it's the Boston Bruins in 1970. They're kind of set in net. So Bouchard's going to have to wait his turn. Could wait a while. So expansion helped him out. He's taken on June 6th of 1972 in the expansion draft by the Atlanta Flames. Why this is a New Jersey, and you'll see the video on that after this video goes live on where I got the jersey and all that fun stuff. So he plays for Atlanta, and I don't have Atlanta magnets that are this size. I was looking around for others. I'm just going to use the one I've been using in the history videos. So he plays 34 games that rookie season of 72-73, a record of 9-15-10, a 3.09 goals against. His 907 save percentage is ninth amongst goaltenders that year. He has two shutouts. He's fifth in Calder voting. So pretty strong start for Bouchard. And for all of Atlanta's shortcomings, they got pretty solid goaltending throughout their time there from Bouchard. So 73-74, he plays 46 games, which is 10th overall in the NHL. His 19 wins are ninth. His 18 losses also ninth, and 8 ties. 2.78 goals against average, that's fifth in the league. His 909 save percentage is third in the league. 5 shutouts for him that season. In the playoffs, he plays one game, lost that game, allowed 4 goals, had an 846 save percentage. Atlanta doesn't win in the playoffs, and whatever you want to look at is the reason why Atlanta just doesn't win in the playoffs, which may be part of the reason why the Flames didn't last down there. 74-75, 40 games played, a record of 20-15-5, 2.78 goals against, average is 7th overall, 914 save percentage is 5th overall, and he has 3 shutouts. So another strong season for Bouchard on an Atlanta team that, I mean, they're in a stacked division as well. You got to consider that, and so not a lot of headway being made by the Flames. 75-76, 47 games, a record of 19-17-8, 2.54 goals against average, which is 3rd overall. His 911 save percentage is 3rd overall in the NHL, and he has 2 shutouts. In the playoffs, he plays 2 games, loses both games, but his goals against, 1.52 goals against average, 942 save percentage. So it wasn't Bouchard's fault. 76-77, still in Atlanta. 42 games, 17-17-5 record. 3.51 goals against average, 877 save percentage. Those numbers dropping quite a bit, so he's not top 10 in either. 1 shutout. He plays 1 playoff game, and yep, he lost it. Allows 5 goals and an 800 save percentage. So there's a pattern with Atlanta and the playoffs. 76-77, 58 games played, or no, 77-78. Don't quite line up. 58 games played, which is 6th overall. 25 wins is 9th overall. 12 losses, 19 ties. Does lead the league if you're curious. 2.75 goals against average, which is 10th overall. 893 save percentage. 2 shutouts. 2 games in the playoffs. 2 losses. 3.55 goals against. 848 save percentage. 78-79, plays 64 games for the Flames, which is 1st overall. His 32 wins is also 1st overall. 21 losses is 7th overall, and 7 ties. 3.33 goals against average, 889 save percentage in the playoffs, and 3 shutouts, gotta add that. In the playoffs, 2 games, lost both of them. So Atlanta not winning a lot, 5.43 goals against, 813 save percentage, and so Bouchard and the Flames can't get over the hump in the playoffs. 79-80, what would be the final year for the Atlanta Flames in Atlanta? 53 games, 7th in the league in that area. 8th in wins with 23, 19 losses and 10 ties. 3.19 goals against, 898 save percentage is 7th overall. He has 2 shutouts. In the playoffs, 4 games, 1 win. There you go. 3 losses, though, 3.49 goals against, 880 save percentage, no shutouts. So the summer of 1980, the Atlanta Flames become the Calgary Flames. So Dan Bouchard goes to Calgary. I hope he didn't buy a house, because 80-81, he plays 14 games with the Flames, a record of 4-5-3, 4.04 goals against average, 884 save percentage. Pat Riggins coming up. So for the Calgary Flames, who are going to go on a run in the playoffs in 1981, with Pat Riggin being ready to go and them having options in net, Dan Bouchard's expendable. So he is traded to the Quebec Nordiques, and going to the Calgary Flames is Jamie Hislop. Now, Hislop ends up having a pretty good run with Calgary, but Bouchard has a great run with Quebec. 29 games, 19 wins. So the 23 combined wins make him 6th in the NHL that year. 5 losses and 3 ties in Quebec. 3.18 goals against average. 895 save percentage. His total save percentage is 10th in the NHL that year. 2 shutouts in the playoffs. 5 games, 2-3 record. 3.99 goals against. 879 save percentage. 1 shutout. He's 7th in Hart voting that year. So because he's able to make the Quebec Nordiques a playoff team, he's one of the favorites for the Hart. At least he's 7th in Hart voting. 81-82, plays 60 games for the Nordiques. 5th overall in the NHL in that category. His 27 wins puts him 4th. 22 losses and 11 ties. 3.87 goals against average. His 867 save percentage, even by 80 standards, that is low. 1 shutout in the playoffs. 11 games, 4-7 record. 3.37 goals against average, 894 save percentage. He's 4th in Vezina voting because at this point in time when they're voting on the Vezina, the save percentage isn't really taken into consideration. Like, save percentage wasn't really a stat that I really cared much about at all up until like the 90s, and it feels like that's where it got more attention just around the hockey world in general, but you paid attention to goals against average and just wins and losses. This goalie's winning a bunch of games. He's doing something right. Yeah, his save percentage not great, but look at those wins. So 82-83 plays 50 games, which is 8th overall. 20 wins, 21 losses. Those losses, 7th overall. 8 ties. 4.01 goals against average. 875 save percentage. 1 shutout again because it's the 80s. Shutouts are very difficult to get. 4 games in the playoffs, a record of 1-3. 2.74 goals against average. 909 save percentage. No shutouts there. 83-84. 57 games played, still with the Nordiques. That's 3rd overall in the league for goaltenders. His 29 wins is 2nd overall. 18 losses, 8 ties. His 3.21 goals against average is 7th overall in the NHL. His 882 save percentage does not put him in the top 10. 1 shutout. In the playoffs, 9 games, a 5-4 record. 2.77 goals against, 888 save percentage. No shutouts. 5th in Vezina voting that year. So again, the wins, the games played, get him those Vezina votes. Enough at least to end up 5th in the Vezina voting. Cinnabon's chewing on cardboard. 84-85, playing for the Nordiques in what would be his final season with the Nordiques. 30 games, 12-14-4 record, 3.45 goals against average, 879 save percentage. Plays 1 game in the playoffs, does not win that game. 7.11 goals against, 708 save percentage. Those numbers, bit of an oof there. Then he ends up moving to the Winnipeg Jets for 1 year. So the Nordiques trade Dan Bouchard to the Winnipeg Jets October 14th of 1985. So just as the season's getting started, for a 1984 7th round pick, which they used to draft Mark Vermette, who doesn't reach 100 NHL games. He does play some NHL games. So for a 7th round pick, that's all right. Playing with the Jets in what would be his final season, 32 games, a record of 11-14-2, 3.8 goals against average, 864 save percentage, 2 shutouts. In the playoffs, he does play 1 game for the Jets. He loses that game, 7.5 goals against average, 773 save percentage in those playoffs, and of course, no shutouts. So at the end of his career, he's played 656 games, which is 41st amongst goaltenders. 286 wins, which is 48th amongst goaltenders all time. And he's 48th in losses as well with 233. He's 16th in ties with 113. 3.27 goals against average, 890 save percentage, and 27 shutouts. And this is at a time where 25 shutouts in your career is considered kind of a big deal. Because again, shutouts are gone. In the playoffs, 43 games, a record of 13-30, 3.47 goals against, 880 save percentage. He does have the 1 shutout there. So there you go. The career of Dan Bouchard. A little bit longer than the career of Don Edwards, of course. And again, he had some really fun masks during his time in the National Hockey League. And there was an article that asked whether or not The Quebec Nordiques could come back into the NHL at some point. The Hockey News had a picture of Dan Bouchard wearing a Nordiques jersey for that article, and I thought that was kind of fun too. So anyways, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.